morning, gorgeous, and welcome back to the Am I Successful Yet podcast. Today, I am starting a very special series, which is 40 lessons in 40 days from my 40 years. It's a really long title. So 40 lessons in 40 days of my 40 years. And today's very first guest on the 40 series is my mom. Hi, Mom. So Mom is providing me with a little bit of a background. And in this conversation, you will totally understand where I got my Rachelness from. It comes very much from the Cathyness. And I just really wanted to share my mom with you. And I thought, well, it's day one. And she's obviously been around since day one because she had to contribute to the birth of me. And it's a cool episode. It's a conversation. It's a conversation about her learnings, about my learnings, about her changing version of success, about what and how I was showing up in the world and what she kind of expected of me. Not expected of me, but what the kind of kid that I was, all of these cool things. So I'm just really excited for you to listen to this conversation with me and my mama, and welcome to the 40 series.
Morning.
Welcome back. Well, yeah. No one knows what day it is or when we're recording this, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Today is day one of 40 podcast episodes in a row. And I thought that we would kick off the series of 40 by interviewing the woman that brought me into the world. Hi, Mum.
Hi. Hi, Rach. How are you doing?
Good. So on the 6th of July, 1986, yep. I think I'm like 4 hours old at this point.
Yeah, about 4 hours, yeah.
And yeah, okay. What were your initial
thoughts? It was about 7:30 in the morning.
7:30. Okay, so 5 hours. 5 hours old. Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts of when you were born?
Yeah.
Didn't like the doctor.
You didn't like your doctor, did you? No.
No.
Dr. Cool.
You were cool, but the doctor wasn't.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, because you had an obstetrician that was supposed to be there and then never turned up or went on holiday.
No, I had to have his weekend off, of course. That weekend, I mean, we're off. Yeah.
Rude.
But anyway.
Rude. Okay. Cool. And what do you think your earliest, I think I know.
Memories of you?
Yeah.
Well, when you were first born, I remember you were like, a normal size, but except I remember next door there was a lady and she was Chinese and she had this baby and it was like 12 pound or something. I mean, you were 7.
Oh my God.
12 pound. And I remember I was holding you and went in there and I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's huge. 7 pounds. Okay, cool. Good.
Mm.
And then I think that one of the earliest memories that I remember, I don't know if I remember, I've just been told this story so many times, and part of me is the me screaming in front of the fridge situation.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because you couldn't get it open or you wanted something that was higher than you and you'd scream and the neighbours would come over and go, are you killing her? And the ice cream, the neighbours showed you it was a great idea to show Rachel that when you have ice cream, if it's not as hot, if it's cold, we'll warm it up a bit and we'll put it in the microwave. So every time we had ice cream,
yeah, well, there was not. It didn't come in didn't come in quietly. That's for sure. By the sounds of it.
No. Well, the first 18 months you slept, you were good. You were a good baby. You slept and slept and slept. But then after that, you're like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Just want some attention.
So you'd stand at the top of the stairs and just scream.
Yeah. And can we talk about the story that you just told me about how I used to get out of my cot? This is amazing.
Yeah, well, I had
so agile.
I was like, how is she doing this? Because it's a whole cot, and I didn't realise, I put you close enough to the curtain. You'd pull yourself over. It was and you pull yourself over, climb up the curtain a bit, then climb down and get out and you're right at the top of the stairs. A barrel. Yeah.
Genius. Genius from day dot.
You were, yeah, you started off very, yeah.
I'm just trying to think what my next probably big memory is. I think one of my next big memories is trying to teach Alicia timetables when she was like 4. Poor thing.
Yeah,
or 2.
I don't
think she was even 4 yet.
You'd sit in there and she didn't want to stay there, but you're staying there. Yeah.
We were playing schools.
Yeah, you were playing schools. Yeah, I know. You made yourself known, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it's kind of how I rolled. Still kind of roll like that, let's face it.
Well, you were always very assertive.
Okay. Assertive.
Yeah. You made yourself known the way what you wanted.
Okay. Do you think I've always had that spark of like, what's the word? I don't want to say authenticity because that's an annoying word, but like I didn't really care what people thought, or was I do you think I grew into that?
I think you grew into that, or some of that came from your dancing. I won't say the name of the studio, but the dancing.
Yeah.
And you're a bigger girl.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was, yeah.
You were taller and everything than everybody, and you had the most luscious lips. Everybody else had to put a lip pencil. You just use lipstick. But you, from that, I think, thought, oh, well, I'm not going to let anybody tell me the way I'm going to act. So
yeah, because and because I was bigger than all the other dancing girls of my age, I always was like at the back.
Yeah, you were.
Perhaps not as agile as some of the other younger dancing girls too.
Well,
yeah, it's a bit unfair, let's face it. It's a posh night, Ginny.
Bring up your nickname? No.
I mean, yeah, yes. Talking about body image issues, man. Let's go there.
Yeah, I haven't lived this one day.
No.
We used to call her Sam Bacco.
Yeah, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. I'm going to put down a picture of Sam Bacco.
Look, he was a gentle giant, and it was just one day Rachael crash tackled someone in front of us, and I'm like, whoa, look at that. Probably a brother more than anything.
Yeah. I did crash tackle someone, I think, in grade 9 too. I almost knocked her out. I think I did knock her out at AFL. My bad. Everyone wonders why I didn't want to play sport.
Well, that's right.
That was that.
Who wants to play sport? That'd probably come from me because I was really sporty.
And let's talk about the weirds, what we're talking about success. And I feel like I missed one of the giant life lessons of being a child of not learning how to ride a bike.
Well, that was hereditary, sorry. Yeah, because my grandmother said girls don't ride bikes. So I never rode one, so... And I don't know, Alicia managed to do it.
Alicia figured it out.
But you just didn't want to for some reason. You were like, I don't know.
I didn't get it immediately. So
you
didn't
get it. Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah,
it's not doing this. It's just not fun.
But you did it later in life. You were determined.
I'm not the best at it right now, so I'm not doing that. Also why I didn't get a driver's license till I was 25.
Well, that could be anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, your nana, she didn't
drive at all.
She didn't drive. She gave up driving before I was born and never drove again.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, even in your childhood, for her not to be driving, that's a big thing.
But I think it was more of a common thing in those days that women didn't drive.
Yes, sure.
But I think it had to do with Dad, with the whole steering wheel not being put back on, and she went like this and it came off in a hand. So, I mean, that's enough to put anybody off.
Yes. When we're talking about definitions of success, it was really just when they got later in life, it was like, what did Pa pull apart and did he put it back together again?
Oh, exactly.
That was pretty much most of Pa's life.
Yeah.
Did he pull something apart and then put it back together again?
It never was the same way. Dad, yeah. Well, you saw determination.
Yes. Let's go.
I mean, I think that your father and I both had good work ethics.
100%.
So you were like, okay, well, I need to do this. And that comes down.
Well, I think, 100% the work ethic came to, Dad was always doing his thing and you were always working as well. I remember so many memories of you were at work. And Pa or Nana would pick us up from school.
I was lucky.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and then Dad would be at work as well. You guys were always doing stuff, always working. And I think, that's 100% your generation created that work ethic in that next generation.
Yeah, that's right.
But the definition of success, I think, has definitely changed from your generation to mine. And then even from even Alicia's kids now, what success is going to look like.
Well, I think the adage of, get a good education, get a good job, get a house, have kids, whatever. I mean, that's not.
It's just not. It's not success anymore.
No, it's something different now. I think it's probably better in a way.
Yeah, because you moved away from the whole keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, that's right. Because it was always, I never really got into it, but you used to, somebody would, say something and you'd be like, oh, well, maybe it isn't, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Their house is not good as yours or yours isn't good as theirs.
And that's just who gives a fuck?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that that is some of the values that we learned from very, it's just okay, cool. It is what it is.
And you learned change as well. That change, you move and change. You didn't.
Yeah, we were, and that I think we made home wherever home was.
Well,
I think that was like,
because we moved a little bit, so you guys just went with the flow. You didn't had any other choice, but yeah.
I mean, it was what it was, right? But I just remember, every time we had a new bedroom or a new place to live, it'd always be like, how do we make it? So I think that's why even now I love unpacking and starting stuff, which is quite unsettling when you're renovating houses.
Exactly.
Nothing to unpack.
No, it's all right. I've still got boxes I haven't unpacked.
Yeah. That have been in boxes for something like 20 years, so we probably need to get into those boxes. Maybe longer than 20 years, actually.
Oh, yeah, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Probably from the 90s.
Wow. Yeah. Fully from the 90s. So do you think your definition of success has changed over your lifetime?
I suppose it has. I haven't.
Or your values have stayed the same or changed?
Values have stayed the same because family is always important, and, it's good to be secure in what you do. I found that I went up and down, and I'd get this life crisis had come along, and then I'd have to change.
Pivot.
Yeah, I'd have to go the other direction, like look after someone, or that's what seemed to happen with me in my life.
Carrying responsibilities.
Yeah, I used to, and you just had to step up and do it. I mean, I was the only child.
Well, yeah, that was your only option, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. You can't just dump someone in somewhere and go, okay, they'll be right. I'll visit them once every year.
I mean, even when they were like attempting to look after themselves, you were still there.
Yeah, well, you had to help out and do things.
But I think Pa was setting off fire alarms or something at some point, wasn't he? Or did Nana set off? Someone set off fire alarms, and then there was...
Oh, yeah, well, when Mum first got dementia and she'd broken a hip and he didn't want her to get up too much, when they moved, what he did was he put the gates out, but he also put a motion detector. And the alarm went off, and so at 2:00 in the morning I get this phone call to say that Dad's having a heart attack, Mum's screaming so loud we need to bring a sedation and you need to get down here. Right. And I didn't even...
funny, but it's just like, what?
It's not funny, but you had to laugh because otherwise you're like, well, the whole of the place was up.
Because in that point, like, how do you just then wake up the next morning and just go on? Like, I think this is like this innate, insane, strong ability of women particularly to be like, I just have to deal with that 2:00 this morning. And now
you have to.
I've got to go on.
I remember around that period of time, I remember the only time that it was such a simple thing, coming back from visiting Mum and Dad, so much had gone on, and driving back, and I got pulled up and my registration was overdue by 2 days, and I just sat there and sobbed at the policeman. It was a breaking point. Nothing else, people going into hospital having a heart attack. It was the registration.
I'm sorry.
And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to give you a ticket.
Please.
But it's always something small that puts you over the edge. It's not that's I find with me.
The break, it's like building.
Yeah, it's a small thing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you have to, I mean, Mum would break a hip and then Dad would have a heart attack, and so you got two of them.
Yeah, they were in hospital at the same time, weren't they?
Yeah, well, we were in there taking him to hospital, and he had a heart attack, and so I rang home and said, someone needs to come, because the doctor said to me, should I leave that bed for you?
Yeah, like, I'm just going to lay down.
Yeah.
Can I have a sedative just because? I just want to go to sleep. Wake me up when this is all done.
But I think you saw that people got things done and,
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing. I think it was just like, oh no, this is just what you have to do. Like you just...
Which some ways I don't know is good or, all
I mean,
the time.
that's true as well. Like, do you learn to sacrifice yourself by caring for other people?
Your mental health, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you just brush that aside.
Yeah. Well, yeah, mental health wasn't really a conversation until the last 5 or 10 years, right?
No, you just went and had a shower and cried.
Yeah, exactly. Which again is not funny, but that's like, that was literally life. Like it wasn't, no one had
to continue on with.
Like, just did it.
Well, I remember it come from Grandma for me. Grandma, she was a tough old bird, but she would say, you just put on a brave face and that's it. You got to just do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you'd hear that.
And I think she, but I don't think you were ever that harsh on us. It was always like, I mean, you need to do things, but you can also, if you don't like something or you're not happy with something, that you can, you're allowed to stand up for yourself. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Yeah.
I think particularly as we got into work
stood up
life.
for yourself in grade 12, that ended well. Yeah.
I almost got suspended.
You did.
Yeah. That was the first time in my whole school life that you had to go to the principal's office. He was going to, actually, no, I was going to get expelled.
Yeah, he was going to expel you, so
2 weeks before the end of grade 12.
I went and did a sit-in at his office.
Yeah, until he
was like, pulled his head in.
I remember that you did something like that years ago, because I remember for years, I think I would have been like 13 or 14, and I wanted a CD player. And it was back in the days of like when, came out of all the things, and it came out was different. Anyway, it was at the Hyperdome. And I remember like the CD player broke, and it was like obviously the most mortifying thing that ever happened to me in my whole life.
Of course.
And you stood at the register until they replaced it.
Yeah, I'm not moving. You don't understand.
Yeah, you don't understand how much time and effort and energy and like blood, sweat and tears has gone into getting this stereo that I was just obsessed with.
Yeah, well, I think mine comes from I have a really large justice streak. I can't see.
Yeah, that's one of your biggest.
Yeah, I just can't see people being trod on or hurt or it's not in.
And that stayed with you, right? Like that's created.
Yeah, all my whole life it stayed with me.
And where do you think that came from? That was just innate? That was just like what was inside you?
I think so. Mum was always defend her against other people, my relatives and stuff. But that was just the way things were. She was a little bit weaker. You know what families are like.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah,
we don't really have any weaker ones.
We picked them out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Selective breeding.
Maybe.
What other values do you think you've carried through? I think kindness obviously is a big one for you, and just kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's innate in me. I have to like think about it. It comes into my head before I even.
Yeah.
It's part of my DNA.
You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think this is the thing, right? It's just whole just doing it thing is like such a big part of how your whole generation grew up, was that you just did. And I think even now, like, women, particularly with kids and stuff now, is that you kind of just have to do the thing and then you figure it out. Definitely, I think there's been a lot of like detriment to.
Well, when you have children, there's no handbook. I mean, you had Dr. Spock in the day.
Dr. Spock?
Yeah, Dr. Spock. I'm sure it was Spock. Maybe I got the wrong name. That might be off Star Trek.
I'm pretty sure Dr.
No, I'm sure it was. Anyway, someone, no, I'll have to look
there's that book. What's that? What to Expect When You're Expecting?
Yeah.
I remember reading a version of that was like early days, like from the 80s, like when I was born. It was like a few cigarettes and a bit of alcohol is totally fine.
Oh, yeah, there was none of that out there. Well, we did mothercraft in school.
Really?
Yeah. We did mothercraft and you did a whole lot of stuff. You had this whole book where, I was in high school and you had to do all about
learning how to be a mother.
Yeah. All different things to do with being a mother.
Did you get given one of those little robotic babies?
No, they didn't have
robotic babies then. They just had nuns that bashed you.
Yeah, oh no, they didn't bash me.
Just a subtle little.
No, that was Tina.
Oh, that was Tina. Didn't you catch it once?
Oh, yeah, when I was in primary school. I scratched out something on the bottom. Anyway, Nun didn't like it, and she said, hold out your hand. So I held out my hand because, you were allowed to cane someone in those days. And and as she went to think, I grabbed it and took it off her, threw it out the window and ran for grandma. Because I thought
I'm going to be in so much.
The worst of two evils is a nun or is it?
Is it going to grandma's or going to?
But I had to run from the top of Dutton Park down Fairfield Road and through the cemetery. I had no bag, no nothing. I just took off.
So interestingly, the day that I was going to be expelled was when I was running away from the principal down the oval.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. See, you had it in you.
Yeah, never run so fast in my life. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
But you've always had it in you to strive.
Yeah.
To look for something more out of life. To just be better.
Yeah.
For yourself. Better for yourself.
Yeah.
Not better as in better than anybody else, but a better self.
Yeah.
Ways of
doing things.
Which
I think I was saying to you last night when we went to see Michael Jackson last night.
Oh, it was
very,
fabulous.
Very good. I was talking about that Amway conference we went to when I was 14. And you're like, do you remember that? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I remember just being so pumped about like speakers and like.
It was very uplifting.
Yeah. And I was like, I sort of feel like that all the time. That's nice. It's a nice.
It is nice, but my voice in the back of my head goes, well, it's not complete reality.
I mean, that's accurate as well, right? Because, I was speaking to someone about this last night on another episode about why do we need to why do we need to go through such terrible shit to appreciate that feeling uplifted and motivated and excited and whatever, is to get that, to really get that elated feeling, we have to go through the really shitty bits. And it's like humans almost need polarization to appreciate one or the other.
Yeah, we have to torture ourselves.
I know, it's just ridiculous. Yes. Why? Why do we have to?
Well, I think with like someone like with that Valerie in Amway, those things, I think a lot of what they said ingrains in you and as well. They're changing because, you think, oh yeah. I mean, there's still songs that come on now that I like. Oh wow, yeah, that was a song.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have principles in there that, stay with you.
Well, yeah, because I remember, like, that was back in the days when all of the motivational stuff was really just like chicken soup for the soul. And like, because I remember there was tapes.
Mm.
Like, so you didn't have you didn't have podcasts and audiobooks and all this stuff.
Yeah, you listened to
like tapes. Literally tapes. And it was like the Amway tapes. And it was it would be like all essentially it was like motivational speeches based on like business context, personalities and communication and all of this stuff. It was actually
true.
Now I look at it like my first kind of look into business and how it kind of operated. And
there were so many different personalities as well.
Yeah, which is ultimately why you stopped doing it.
Yeah,
there was a few personalities in there that were a bit big when they...
Well, that was before they said that internet shopping would never work.
Yes, that's right. There was this... it was innovation, right? At that point.
Yeah, you could shop online with them. And they said, no, that'll never work. And well,
here we are.
Look at us now.
Yeah. I would like actively choose to do internet shopping over going to a store.
Even just looking for something, you can look for it. I mean, everything's at your fingertips now.
Yeah, but you go into a shop now and they're like, oh, you have to get that online. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
I just want to buy it. Yeah. Can I just try it?
I can see it. Look.
Can I touch it? Like, what do you mean? Oh, I don't have your size. You have to get it online. You're like, okay. Sure. No, they don't care. They're like, you just have to send it back via our returns policy.
Yeah, exactly.
What? This seems so backwards. So I think there's been so many things that have gone so forwards in technology and all of these things, but then so many things that have gone backwards in as well.
Well, I mean, when I got married, there was just video cameras had just come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I didn't even have a video camera. We didn't have a video on our wedding.
No, I didn't. Also, I love that your wedding. How much was your wedding? It was like a few $1,000s or something.
$2,500.
Yeah, but for a
fair enough, a house was $33,000.
Yeah, and that was what 1980. That's right. So like that's it was relative.
It was when it was like 10% of a house.
$2,500 for how many people did you have? Oh, and that was small. That was small in all wedding days.
But if you look at it, 10% now of what a house is worth now,
that's $100,000 wedding.
That's a lot of money.
It's like, no, thank you.
And it goes overseas a few times.
A few times, yeah. Like, why would you? And I think this is the thing now. Like, those kind of values are shifting. Do you think there's been a value shift in communities and society?
Yeah, well,
throughout your lifetime,
I think that their community isn't there as much. I mean, they say it takes a village to bring up a child. And there was, when my mother-in-law was a thing, and they always, she did everything, although, it might have been very loudly, but she did it and was, had the biggest heart in the world to help with everything.
Yeah.
But even in Dad, same thing. He just did everything he possibly could to help my mum.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I remember because Nana didn't drive, she would walk to school, pick us up sometimes.
Yeah, she'd put you in the stroller or go and pick up Matthew.
I remember Pa turned up to school one day after he'd written it.
He did, yeah.
He was very committed to the cause.
Oh, yeah. Until I wouldn't let him drive any further. One wheel was off the ground.
Yeah, that was a situation. It was very hard to get into the car that day. But poor Pa, it just showed
He was lucky that but that was Dad. He grew up in another era.
Yeah, well, then this is the thing, right? It's like you watch, and for him, the values of community and life and family and all of that stuff would have developed and changed as well over time.
Well, true.
And then if you look at our family, like even coming in from like the Croatian background, coming from the Irish background, there's different values and family and
definitely
a lot of stuff that has to come together.
And they all like potatoes. Yeah.
All like potatoes, yeah. My husband, one as well.
Yeah. He likes potato.
Eastern European, Irish. Like, what do you want me to do?
Exactly.
It's just like, what was my other question? I think I asked you about success, whether or not you think success has changed.
I think success is an individual question for everybody has their own version of it. And mine now, as I get older, is seeing my family happy.
Yeah.
Success for me is other
And that's
people.
it. Yeah.
Is other people. Seeing that my children are all...
Yeah. And do you think if you looked back, say you were like even like 20, 40, those kind of eras, that was a different, like you had a different version of success? Because you were working in some pretty decent, like, you know, the jobs that you had and all of these things that, do you think that you ever tied success to a professional?
Yeah, well, I did. I think with my banking, because, you know, being a lending manager and stuff, I definitely did. And I was doing way too much until I didn't. So, you know, it just...
Yeah.
Yeah, you just...
And then your body literally told you to stop when you broke your foot. And then it was like, but that would have been a bit of and while you were at home, which would have been really weird, having worked full time for a very long time.
It was very difficult.
And then having
denial, it's called.
But then having an identity shift out of being a full-time worker.
Oh, yeah.
And a banker and like a lending manager.
Well, you go
on promotion track and this and that.
Yeah, that's right. As much as you can in those days in banking. But
yeah,
it was... Well, that was just a change in my whole world. My whole world reshaped.
Yeah. Like literally for so many, everything really at that point. That was a huge shift.
But, you know, I wasn't...
And how old were you then? What was that?
2003, so I was about 45 something.
Yeah.
44.
Yeah, so not far off where I am now. That's a shift, a massive shift. Or even my Josh is turning 45 this year. And yeah, he's completely reshaped his whole life this age. Like
I think it's not a bad thing. I I look back and think, I wonder what would happen if that didn't happen. But who knows? You know?
I mean,
you can, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda is always...
Well, exactly. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't, right? Like the reality was that it did happen and then it was kind of like, now what? Now
I've got to try and do it, although I don't want to. I remember having that conversation with myself that you don't want to do this, do you? No, I don't.
No. Well, I remember when because I was driving by that time, finally. Was I driving? I think no?
No, you had your formal.
Yeah. But remember when you went back to work?
Oh, yes. You took me, took me in the city. That was...
I picked you up.
2006. Well, you dropped me in.
Did I dropped you in? And then I think about 2 hours later, maybe, you called and you were like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. Which is crazy, right? Because I've literally had that moment at work before where I just walked in and was like, no, I'm out. I can't do this.
Some of the stuff they were doing, you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's a I guess learning thing from you to me of just being like, actually no.
Yeah, I've always felt that I had to stand up for what I believe in.
Yeah.
If I can see that someone's been unfairly done by...
Including you, though?
Yeah.
You think you stand up for yourself in the same way?
Sometimes. It just depends. Not it probably is mine. I probably do a bit more now, but I would prefer to stand up for someone else other than myself.
Yeah. Well, it's always easier to fight someone else's battles and demons, right, than your own.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
There's a lot of self-realization that goes on and being like, oh, God.
Self-reflection, looking in the mirror.
Well, you did that. What, you were like in your 50s when you did your counselling degree?
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
So that was literally, 3 or 4 years of longer?
5 years. 5 years. 5 years
of self-reflection and reflection.
Yeah, it was great.
But that was really, like, in all of your years, that was probably the first time you'd done therapy, right?
It was, yeah.
Like, which is huge. Like, like, if you think about that now and the way that community is and society is and how many people, like, I reckon, like 99% of the people that I know that are in professional roles and have a family and whatever, have been to therapy at least once, 20 times, you know, in the last 12 months. So
it wasn't a thing that you did.
No.
Well, you know,
because you just
had to tough it out and move on.
Yeah.
And shove it down or put it on
put it on
a shelf, in a box, shelf.
Under the rug, in a box and a shelf. We'll unpack that later.
Yeah.
Oh, we just never will.
But I remember it was quite early, interesting people and the different people that I met. You know, like, wow, I really wish I did.
Yeah, it was a very
that's one wish I had
diverse.
in life that I had done.
Did that earlier. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because there was incredible people like that came out of that were just like, never thought I'd ever have a conversation with most of those people that you like had. What was her name?
Because I wanted to be an archaeologist when
I remember that. I mean, yeah, well, at that point it would have been, because when did you finish high school?
75.
Yeah, so don't be silly, you're a girl. Yeah, like, what do you mean? And so you ended up, you were doing, not what you get, you were essentially working for accountants, right?
Yeah, I worked for accountants. I worked for Myers first and accountants.
That's right, Myers.
And then I thought, I don't want to do accountancy degree because they're really boring, so they were two pays.
Yeah, because mostly were men.
They're all men. Yeah.
All men. Yeah, okay.
I can only remember a couple of women. And because I came across as a strong woman, I always come to Brock with women.
Yeah. Okay.
Women are much harder to work with than men. I find that's my personal.
I mean, I have found that in a few roles of mine as well, where I really want to I want you to mentor me. I think I expect more, maybe, in a way.
The compassion in some women is not there, fine. But they feel like they need to have steel balls.
Yeah. They have to build a masculine energy to live in a masculine world.
It's not easy, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's not easy for any woman to, even now, I mean, even from what you say, the glass ceiling, it's still there.
Yeah, it's definitely still there.
You know?
Like, there's still a gender pay gap somehow in 2026 where it's just like, really? I mean, is that genuinely still happening? I don't know.
But it's not as, well, there is still bullying.
Oh, yeah. Experienced some of that recently.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, men power, but I still, in a way, would prefer to work with men than I would with women.
I think sometimes it's easier to know where you stand a little bit.
Men are much more upfront and they say it out. You mightn't like it, but they'll say.
I mean, yeah, they're still being dicks, but it might be a bit more direct.
And women go behind your back and stab you between the shoulder blades. Which is,
you know what, I think that I agree with that in way, because some of the worst managers that I had have been women, which is sad for me because I really want them to mentor me. I want them to coach me. I want to look up to them.
But I don't think a lot of them had the skills to be what they were.
Yeah, well, I don't. And I think that, well, the skills to be any different to what everyone else was.
Emotional intelligence wasn't up to that level.
Yeah. And I think that's, I think that's changing and shifting now. But I think we shy away from the fact, we do talk about it in, professional life that, women have had it worse off, and definitely we have. But I think that the women that did get to more powerful positions or more senior position have something to answer for, in the sense that you didn't really pave the way. And I don't think that's the way of doing things. Like, I know this whole thing of, I had to deal with that shit, so you need to deal with it too. And it's like, really? But
I've found with a lot of men that I work with, and then again, different way, if a crisis was happening, they wouldn't stand up.
No, women dealt with the crisis. Yeah, okay.
I found that. There's only a couple of men that I know of, but would have in my working life. But a lot of them, you get irate people in a bank that are bashing the walls and hurting the manager, and they're hiding in their rooms.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, and some of the people you were dealing with in the banks were like the bikies and
yeah,
right, sure. I'm coming to deposit my money.
Yeah,
a satchel.
We make it under 10,000.
Yeah. Can you come back in multiple visits? Like, far out.
So they still work that out.
Yeah. Like, different accounts or something, guys. Come on, put some effort into being an organized crime. It's so obvious.
Well, that's why they don't bank it anymore.
Yeah, it's just in walls somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. It is, I think.
Did you never went through any bank robberies, did you?
No. Just a crazy guy that he was on parole. Or he'd skipped parole, I don't know. Anyway, he came to the bank and there was something wrong with his account or something. And he was escorted because he was carrying on terribly. And he king hit Gordon. Sort of.
Gordon's not a small dude.
No, Gordon was,
He was tall and skinny, wasn't he?
Yeah, tall and skinny, yeah. But he king hit him down on the ground and got his boot in and said to him, mate, come over here and talk to me. Leave him alone. And he was like a big dude. I said, you just need to move on and bugger off.
Yeah, just go away.
Go away, yeah. That's right,
Yeah, because I think when you were in the banks were still getting robbed.
They were, yeah. Well,
and then, because you were And you know what I find the funny thing is now with banks, the exchange community changes. There's none of those screens on the tellers or anything anymore.
There's no tellers.
There's no tellers. Like, it's so
It's
like,
all in the wall. People still think they can rob them, apparently.
it's crazy.
Everything's in the wall. They still have to balance. I asked the girl the other day.
It blows my mind though. I walk in and I was like, how are you?
There's a line.
Do you feel unsafe? Like, I don't know. I feel unsafe. This is weird.
It's not, I know. It's a big change that they've made.
Like, I had to go to the valley to get money out to pay tradies or something. And then I was sitting in the line and there was like some dodgy looking people in the bank. And I was like, can I just get that in? Like,
can you put it in an envelope?
Yeah, at least. Like, it was just like so
there's
awkward.
no privacy there because there's just one line. There's normally only one that does telling.
Yeah. It's such a weird...
And she's standing outside the machine anyway. She's not even in it.
Yeah.
She's standing out there.
Yeah. It's like a service desk.
It is.
With buttloads of cash in it.
But it's all under... They're secure because they have time lock. And it only has a certain amount that you take out or put in. But no one else is.
Yeah, I mean, the humans aren't secure.
And the ones that...
The money's secure. But lovely.
When you take it out, it's every man for himself.
I mean, yeah, it's just like... I remember you used to say, well, if anything ever happened, it's just like, it's not my money. I'm just going to...
You'll have it.
Have it. I'm not interested. It's not worth... And you know what I think the crazy thing is? I think that I don't think that is... I don't think that was a viewpoint that a lot of people would actually have. Like, people would try and protect
it is true.
Work or business or product or
it's not worth
whatever.
It's not worth a life.
Who gives a shit? That's what insurance is for.
I mean, if the banks are stupid enough when Y2K comes in and they run out of money in the safe, so we stack $1 million up the top of the bank, up the top of the thing, and just shut the safe and leave it in there just in case Y2K happens.
That's right.
Tell me it didn't happen. It did. I remember. I'm like, whoa.
You're like,
that is a lot of money.
And and over the year 2000, $1 million, like that was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was
a lot of money. Like, it's still a lot of money now.
It's a trayful.
Like what's that thing called? A pallet.
Yeah, well, it's not that big.
No, okay. $100 notes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Everything's in hundreds.
How much money do you reckon sits in an ATM?
I think it's only, in the day, you'd only load it with 60, 80,000.
Not like millions.
No.
No.
That's all. People do that now.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about banks and all the success and all of those things. So I think when did I start? So I started working because of you working in the banks.
Yeah. Well, because of, Ali. Ali, yeah.
Origin Kebabs.
Origin Kebabs.
Shout out to Ali at Origin Kebabs.
Yeah. Hi, Ali. Yeah. It's probably still around.
Probably.
And then
stuff money in pillowcases.
After that.
Yeah.
You always wanted to go out and, I used to say, you girls would see, what is it?
It was Bad Girl for a while. We wanted Bad Girl and then Aztec Rose and...
Yeah, and that other, what's it? Oh, God. Anyway, whatever, that surfing brand.
Yeah, City Beach,
yeah. Well, I said, okay, we'll go and get your own job. So Rachael went.
Yeah, it was fine.
And then when she went to buy it, she's like, I'm not buying that. It's
so much money.
I thought,
it's way easier to spend your money.
That works.
Can I have your money to spend? I want to spend my own. This sucks.
That's all right.
And I've literally worked pretty much almost full time since then.
But you've always had a vision of what you wanted to be. You knew you wanted to do something like that. You knew you wanted to go into law.
Yeah.
And
I think I was 12. But I was reflecting, as I said to you yesterday this morning around the Amway thing and the motivational thing and the motivational speakers and that
inspired you.
That inspiration is the why. Do you think that you actively try to instill values in us, or that it just, because across the three of us, like, because I have an older brother, but do you think you actively instilled values in us, or we created our own?
I think you created your own from what you saw.
Yeah, your perception, or our perception of what we saw. Our
perception, yeah. Well, I've got 3 children that look at the same situation and have a completely different view. And then I have a different view of it. Who's right?
Well, that's exactly right. It's perception, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, we've got our family unit was 5 growing up in the same household, and every single one of us had a different perception of a circumstance or a situation, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. Because you want to see something. Everybody wants to see something good, but what you come away with it from is completely different.
Yeah. Which is so interesting, right?
because I don't think, as you say, you don't actively try and like be like, this is good for you. It's just like, this is right, this
We
is
just
wrong.
showed you and gave you, I mean, you did activities and, we hung out with family and friends and you just saw how everybody's lives went on.
Yeah. It was just like, oh, I can take bits.
You saw how, I mean, like Matthew would see his father and he wanted to go and help his father at work, although, that didn't always work out because he was allergic to cement and everything else. But, he wanted to do it. He saw
I remember I
think
asked Dad to go.
Yeah, you wanted to.
He was like, absolutely not am I taking you to a job site. And I was like, why? Anyway, then tradies started working at my house and then I realised, I was like, oh, I don't think female tradies were a thing when I was 14.
Now they're around a lot, but not then.
Not then. No. Yeah, and I think that like we were probably exposed to a lot of like, mental health and like health conditions and things like this throughout like earlier in our lives.
You do.
And so it's almost like you're able to create this, like I don't know. And we went to, like, I know some adults that had never been to a funeral before. And I was like,
it was very generational.
I was like, I went to a funeral when I was like 14. Remember, I almost passed out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the Catholic Church, everybody, they do this, like,
you were younger than
the
that.
incense. I was 12. I remember I wore a tweedy shirt and a suit. And
that was, Barry's husband.
Yeah.
You went to Barker's before that.
Yeah, I do remember Barker's funeral, actually, yes.
You were about 7.
7, yeah. I do remember that, where all the kids were sitting in the aisle. But yeah, that's what we did. We did those things when we were young, and I think we were just...
Well, there's no point in... Well, I mean, it's part of life.
Yes.
You can shelter someone from all these things, but eventually it'll be harder for them to deal with it if they, from what I could see, if they are sheltered from it and don't,
Exposed?
experience it.
Yeah, experienced. That's what, that's the word. Because I think we all did. Like, we were going... And similarly, though, we went to weddings when we were really young, too. And, like, we were going to the first Australian wedding after going to the world weddings.
It's finished already.
And to the world weddings, we'd go, like, breakfast in the morning, and then we'd have the ceremony in the day, and then you'd go for a McDonald's break and a play at the playground, and then you'd go night, and you'd go all night.
And the reception
reception goes all night, and then the next day you go eat all the leftovers at someone's house. And I remember the Australian wedding we went to, and it was like this afternoon tea. And we're all like...
Finished at 6, and all your kids are like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, we're all dressed up, and I'm going to go. It was like, this year was the flower girl, and it was like a whole thing. Yeah. And I was like, is that it? Is that it? What are we doing here? Yeah. It was funny. Yeah. So, well, I think that's a good thing, is the exposure to different experiences that lets you then kind of create your own view or your own set of values, your own, like, what's important. But I think we definitely learned things like work ethic.
I think I've had people say to me that looking back in the past is not a good thing to do. But I don't know, it's not looking back in the past, it's actually learning from the past. And because what happened in the past shaped who you are today.
Yeah, that's right. And so, you need to kind of look at it. And if it was, and to be fair, like, if you look back in the past and you're like, oh, that was pretty shit. But that's great. Okay, that's good. So, actually, that experience was amazing. That one really sucked. That didn't go so well. It's
that's right.
What are the benefits and the disadvantages of that situation? And how can I either A, create more of that, or B, just avoid doing that again because that sucked.
Just go and sleep and get into bed and go to sleep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think that it was always that we were always able to be like, oh no, I don't actually like that thing. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I think you were all lucky because you had a choice. You had choices in life.
Yeah, which is the freedom to choose is not a... And I think that's what most adults are striving for, right? The freedom to choose.
And looking for your passion and following it.
Yeah.
Seeing something that you really like and following it.
Yeah, which is not...
remember I thought it was accountancy until I saw the toupees and it was all over. So.
I don't want toupee.
Yeah, when it fell down like this, I'm like,
oh, God.
I'm like, oh, it's ugly, isn't it?
No. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a toupee in real life.
No, you don't need to. It's okay.
It's not an experience.
I think they're more attached these days than
just glue them down.
Yeah. What's what happens when you shake your head too much?
Yeah, it's your own fault. Be happier. Do this one. Stick on.
Where at?
What do you reckon the best piece of like life advice that you ever got was? And who did it come from?
Best piece of life advice.
Hopefully grandma had some bombs of wisdom.
Grandma, Auntie Cathy. I mean, Grandma used to always say, you've got to be strong. I mean, in a way, you say it, you fake it till you make it these days.
Yeah.
So they say. But Grandma would say, you've got to be strong and you've got to just show the world how strong you are before you, and then you'll be okay. Same idea as fake it till you make it. And I remember
You got to be the thing before everyone else believes that you are, kind of thing.
But you had to stand. I always found I had to stand up for myself. And with Grandma, I know I had to always push it across what I wanted. I mean, she would not take any shit off me whatsoever. I had to always...
And she was a really big part of your childhood, right? So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, Auntie Cathy, she always said... I remember Auntie Cathy saying to me, although archaeology wasn't on the thing, but she told me that I could...
You can be whatever you want, not anything like a man does.
No. You can be anything you want as long as it doesn't involve anything to do with what men want.
Yeah. No dirt, no digging.
It's a state of Myers.
I don't know, my hands gone down the shitter now.
Yeah, but I might have been retired.
Yeah, you would have been retired by now.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had a job. If it was anything like the bank.
Yeah.
I got made redundant twice in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yes.
That's a bit rough.
Well, it was.
You paid out twice?
Yeah, they paid me out twice. Went down to a branch, and then they said, oh, no, we don't have the position here. I don't know why they sent you here. So I was made redundant again. I'm like, oh, God. Guys, do we have a plan here, or it's ANZ?
Thanks, ANZ. Hopefully they're better now. Yeah, what was the advice Auntie Cathy gave you?
That I can do what I want to do within the constraints of society.
Within the constraints of the gender-identified jobs in society.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, she was a public servant, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah, she was in Social Security, known as Centrelink now, for 45 years. Not that actually was that good for her, because she did get severe depression.
Yeah, she did have severe depression.
Very severe.
She had that, the SADS, right? Which I was saying, like, that was definitely one of the connections we had with mental health in our early days, was actually seeing depression.
Auntie Cathy had severe depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did impact. That's why she went into a nursing home, is because it impacted your children too much. Yeah. Because it was pretty rough seeing her.
Yeah.
I mean, poor Auntie Cathy, bless her soul, that's a Catholic black girl.
Yeah.
We'd have to take a blown up copy of the TV program on, and she'd come out because she'd forget or get upset about it, and we'd tell her and go back and do it again.
That was the biggest thing when we were kids. We at Gavin Way, we had those pink couches, and they had that granny flat, and they would shoot. What's on the TV tonight? Who said it was on the TV tonight? And we used to keep it. So when we knew, that was back in the days, for anyone that's like under 40, used to have a TV program.
Yes, a paper one.
A paper one. And there was no Netflix, and there was no streaming shit, and you had to wait.
No, you had to record things.
You had to record things, and you also had to wait weeks for another episode to come out.
Yeah, that's right.
You didn't get a whole series of TV like you do right now.
But there's still running Neighbours.
Yeah, I know.
Home and away.
And people are still waiting for episodes to come out somehow.
That's right. It's all money making now, I'm afraid. There's a lot of money involved in the world. I think now there's changed the world.
Yeah.
I can see. People strive for money a lot, But when it comes down to it in the end, you can't take it with you.
Yeah. And is it really, is it making you happy? And is that really the definition?
Every time I think of that you can't take it with you, I can remember Dad saying to me, because I had catacombs in Ireland, they were called catacombs, and they were under the cemetery, and you could get into behind the back of the coffins. So there'd be, history was years and years and years, there'd be grave robbers. So that's why you can't take it with you, because someone will rob it anyway. Dad used to go to the catacombs and he'd see
only part. So literally. Well, you can't take it with you because somebody else is going to take it from you.
It's going to take it anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a thing. Particularly in places like Ireland, when it was a very poor country for a while.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of different things.
Potato famine and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It
wasn't good for the potatoes.
The potato blight.
Potato blight, is that what it was called?
It was called, potato blight.
So like a potato...
It was a blight. It was
like a potato pandemic?
Yeah, potato pandemic. Yeah, they couldn't grow them anymore.
It's the OG COVID.
It was a blight. It killed them all. And even their seeded potato they'd had for hundreds of years and all gone.
It sounds ridiculous as a problem.
But it's like your main source of food. And you're
I'm trying not to laugh because I know it's very serious.
Dad would say, dirt poor.
Yeah, dirt poor. It was a poor power eating pensioner.
Yeah, but in Dad's words, in Angela's ashes, at least we didn't have to have the head of the pig. We could eat some of the rest of it.
No.
Because in Angela's ashes, you had the head.
All the meat
If
they
you
could
read the
afford.
book, Angela's Ashes, good book if you want to read it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they weren't that poor.
No, they weren't that poor.
I mean,
He might have been the 13th of 13, but
yeah, in Ireland, when was he born?
1926.
Yeah, so like far out. It's insane. 13 children in 1926.
And, you look back on, the society is, people have survived through so many different things. And I think that they say now, oh, they're soft, they can't do this, they can't. But until someone is actually put under, it's like a piece of coal making a diamond. Until you put under the pressure, you don't know what people are capable of.
That's true.
And people are capable, I think we have in society. There's enough good people in the world to make a difference.
I love that. And I think that's another thing that you created for us was like, Jen, you start with the theory that people are good until they prove you otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I've always made up my own mind.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah. We're at the state. You've always made up my mind because, people are always very good at giving me opinions.
Yeah.
And I find that if they give me opinion of someone, that's a reason for me to step back and go, okay,
Thank you.
that's not my opinion. That's yours. Okay, thanks very much. But I'll make up my mind. You can't just assume because you know what that makes an ass out of. So
The ass of you and me.
that's right.
Any final words of wisdom, Mama?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're
Doing
doing.
a wonderful job.
Thanks.
Yes,
It's been
and I
fun.
love you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Mum.
Thank you for being my daughter.
Thanks for being my mom. Thanks for choosing me to be your kid.
Yeah, well, you just
Kind of
came into the world.
Came into the world kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, that's right.
Full sense of security for the first 18 months.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to be an angel. And then you grow up.
That's right. I think you wore off energy when you were running.
Probably.
And you wanted more food.
Because I ate so many calories. Yeah, I ate calories of a 40-year-old for two.
Food was a very big,
Still is a bit of a driver.
yeah, well, I can't say anything, so. Well, good luck with your next 39 days.
Thank you. Oh, all right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. That was the podcast with my mummy, Cathy. She actually has a real name for all the people that have just met her in my life as Rachel's mum. I was like, that's Mum. And everyone goes, I'm Rachel's mum. So that was Cathy. She's great. And like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. And I will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to the Am I Successful Yet podcast. Today we are starting a very exciting series called the 40 series. What is that, you ask? That is me, Rachael, turning 40 in 40 days. And what I want to do is in the lead up to that, I am sharing cool lessons, amazing people, great stories, and all of the learnings that I really want to share with you encapsulated over the last 40 years and given to you in video. Well, not always in video, via a podcast, via LinkedIn and via Instagram and via this podcast. So, no, that's really shit. Good morning, gorgeous, and welcome back to the, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? Or the number one? No. Good morning, gorgeous. This is Rachael Carlisle coming to you on day one of the 40 series. Back on the Are You Successful Yet? No,